Hey, Roger Martin here from Billings, Montana. Boom, good day. This is really interesting, some of these posts from Q. It gets more and more interesting all the time. Is pragmatic.
Oh. We're going to go back in time a little bit and look back at some history Q posts.
He says interesting. Let's go here. He says Soros, Clinton's, Obama, Putin, all controlled by three families. The fourth was removed post Trump's victory. Interesting.
So October 31st, 2017, Q said that Barack Obama, Vladimir Putin, Hillary Clinton, and other world leaders were all controlled by three families. A fourth family was removed from power after Trump's victory. So that was October 31st. Saudi arrests. There was an arrest of a number of members of the Saudi royal family and Saudi businessmen on November 4th. Then on November 11th, Q posted and said, why were the events in Saudi Arabia extraordinary? Who was arrested? We have a lot of Saudi princes who were arrested. What will the bank records provide? List of names. Al-Walid bin Talal was one who was arrested, who had major shares in Citigroup and a lot of U.S. media companies. Then we have the House of Saud, U.S. control, follow the money. What power shift recently occurred was a new king appointed. Coincidence? One side of the triangle removed, first time in history, other sides falling. So with the removal of corrupt Saudi princes.
So he said three families. He said one side went under and one side was removed in Saudi Arabia. Interesting.
Their assets were seized, and a lot of them were arrested. The House of Saud lost its control over a lot of UK and US politicians. Now, they don't control all politicians, but they do control, or they did control key politicians, and they no longer do. So, since then, there's been a battle to free the world leaders from the grip of corrupt people who have controlled them. There are still people in control like George Soros, and his his time of controlling people is coming to an end. So this post from March of 2018, Q posted and said, thank you, Kim. Speaking of Kim Jong-un, deal made, clowns out, strings cut, we took control, Iran next. So as the president...
So something happened in North Korea. We believe the clowns are out and we've taken control of North Korea. And President Trump has said that he has a relationship with Kim. And it says we took control next, Iran next.
And his people are cutting the strings of control to world leaders. They're able to do things that they weren't able to do in the past. And that allowed Kim to meet with President Trump in Singapore for peace talks. And then Trump and Kim have been negotiating on denuclearization since then. In 2009, when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, she launched the famous Russia Reset program, where the U.S. hoped to improve its strained relations with Russia. To be honest, the relations between U.S. and Russia weren't all that strained at that time. That was only a public narrative. And Hillary and Barack Obama needed that Russian reset as a publicly display a signal to the public to say, hey, we're not going to be hostile toward Russia anymore because we have some things we need to do with them collaboratively, and we're going to do the Russia reset, right? The Russia reset allowed dozens of tech companies to build a knockoff of Silicon Valley. They're called Skolkovo, and it included Google, Cisco, Intel, a lot of Silicon Valley tech companies. And of the 28 companies that were involved in that project, 17 were donors to the Clinton Foundation or paid Bill Clinton to give speeches. So was there pay for play there? Hard to say. The
Wow.
Russia reset also paved
You can bet there was.
the way for the sale of the North American Uranium One company to the Russian state-owned energy company Rosatom. And several things came from the sale of Uranium One. Former head of Russia's uranium company made 4 hidden donations. This is Ian Telfer to the Clinton Foundation, totaling $2.35 million. Actually, I think around 200,000 of that was declared by the Clinton Foundation in their records. The rest of it had to be found through, it was donated through a nonprofit organization that Telfer owned, a Canadian company, and researchers had to go and dig and find that information. Bill Clinton was paid $500,000 for one speech in Moscow by a Kremlin-backed bank that was heavily involved in brokering the Uranium One deal. FBI uncovered evidence that Russian nuclear industry officials engaged in bribery, kickbacks, extortion, and money laundering. That was actually, one guy got prosecuted. He was the head of the trucking company that ended up, they had a license to transport uranium internationally. And that gentleman, the CEO of that company, ended up getting arrested and indicted, involved in the bribery and kickback scheme. Clinton Foundation received $145 million from foreign investors that were involved in the uranium deal. A lot of those donations to the Clinton Foundation
Why haven't these people been investigated and put in jail for their kickbacks? It's illegal.
are a bit murky because they were foreign companies, and a lot of these donations only give a range. So the range from 5 million to 10 million, or a range from 10 million to 25 million. You get a range, but you don't know exactly how much was donated. FBI agents have an eyewitness and documents to support the most explosive parts of the Uranium One story. That is all going to come out at some point. And Clinton mega donor Frank Holmes lied about selling Uranium One before Clinton approved the deal. So a lot of scandals involved in Uranium One. Like I said, when U.S. Attorney Huber is ready to unseal some indictments, we're going to learn all about that. A lot of us already know, but the public is going to know. Democrats claim that Russia is the eternal bogeyman that only wants to destroy the United States. The Russia reset and Obama's hot mic statements prove this narrative
But when Barack
to be
Obama told
false.
Dmitry Medvedev he'd have more flexibility on difficult issues like missile defense after the US election, TV cameras were rolling.
My last election, yeah. After my election, I have more flexibility.
Yep, so tell Vladimir that after the election I'll have more flexibility. People like Obama and Hillary Clinton and John Kerry have long known that Russia is not actually the threat that they have made it out to be. And when it's convenient, they signal back and forth that they're actually sort of working with Russia in a lot of respects. This is all a smokescreen. All right, so let's get to Ukraine. This is
One of many smoke screens.
kind of what Q has been talking about lately. While Ukraine battled Russia, the Obama administration provided aid to Ukraine, but none of it was military. So again, we have this narrative from a lot of politicians saying that Russia is this horrible, evil monster. We have to always guard against Russia taking over other nations, annexing other countries. And yet, for some reason, the Obama administration refused to provide military aid to Ukraine. The only aid that they gave, they gave them actually quite a bit of financial aid, aid to accelerate customs reform, fighting corruption, extending decentralization, expanding support for energy security, but nothing that was military. So Ukraine could have definitely used some military aid when they were fighting against Russia, but Obama never gave them any military aid. Why is that? Well, during his impeachment, the Dems accused the president of illegally withholding military aid to Ukraine. They said that Ukraine desperately needed the military.
But Obama never gave them military aid. News never brings that up. Mainstream media never brought that historical fact up.
Aid, and Trump was some kind of a vicious monster for withholding military aid to Ukraine. Aid that Obama never even authorized. If withholding military aid to Ukraine is such a terrible decision, how do you explain Obama's decision not to approve any military aid to Ukraine? This was a post by Q, February 6th, 2 days ago. Think Hillary, Russia reset statement. Think Hussein, I'll have more flexibility after the election, hot mic statement to Russian. That was Medvedev. Question to Hussein regarding Putin. Think Hussein, White House refusal to send weapons to Ukraine. Republicans in Congress pushed to assist, but instead they only sent blankets. Think Dem attacks against POTUS for failure to protect Ukraine against Russian aggression. Impeachment in brackets. So these are things we've all just gotten up to speed on. What advanced weapons did POTUS send to Ukraine? He sent anti-tank missiles. 2 + 2 = 6. Well, no, actually it doesn't. But if you follow the logic of people that have been attacking the president, you come up with 6. Define projection. Think $1.8 billion that the Hussein White House sent to Ukraine. Which bank? Think U.S. aid to Ukraine. Think worldwide aid to Ukraine. Think Uranium One, sale of U.S. uranium to Russia. Sold out U.S. to benefit Russia for personal financial gain. Risk U.S. national security for personal financial gain. How was payment made to U.S. persons? We're going to find out about that. Think Ukraine. Think Iran. Russia and Iran allies. They are. Iran is actually a satellite or a proxy of Russia in a lot of respects. Russia, Iran, and China allies. U.S. political corruption in China. U.S. political corruption in Ukraine. Brackets. U.S. leverage of, on behalf of, U.S. political corruption related to Russia, U.S. political corruption related to Iran, common denominator, China, Russia, and Iran. Closed financial systems, logical thinking. So we're going to look a little bit at the closed financial systems, the money laundering aspect of this, and this is going to be a bit of a deep dive, so fasten your seatbelts. All right. I stayed up till almost midnight doing this thread last night, and then I got up and finished it this morning. So what bank received $1.8 billion in aid from the Obama administration? That would be Privat Bank in Ukraine. They received $1.8 billion as part of a bailout agreement. That bank, Privat Bank, was owned by a corrupt oligarch, Igor Kolomoisky. The money then vanished into a web of shell companies. Actually, Glenn Beck explains this in his recent video from, I think it was Wednesday night he posted it. It's a show that's about an hour and a half long. He explains how Kolomoisky, owner of Privat Bank, this $1.8 billion went into the bank, went out into a web of shell companies, and then mysteriously vanished. And no one has seen it since then. Well, officially no one has seen it. I'm sure a few politicians have seen some of it. Come back to them. So the $1.8 billion, it was part of a larger $18 billion bailout. It was structured by the International Monetary Fund and the United States to prevent the financial collapse of Ukraine. Now that bailout was approved in March of 2014. It's a New York Times article about it. And then a year later, in February of 2015, that $18 billion bailout was expanded to $40 billion. So now the International Monetary Fund and the U.S. are going to arrange a $40 billion bailout, which was nothing compared to the TARP bailout of the banks back in 2009. But still, it's a lot of money going out to a government that is known for corruption. So, Q wrote, think USA.
That is just crazy. Crazy insane. I don't understand why we allow these politicians to get away with this crap. It's our tax money. And why we allow the Federal Reserve international monetary funds to approve such foolishness.
Aid to Ukraine, worldwide aid to Ukraine, Uranium One sale, sold out benefit. I think Q is hinting that a lot of this money that goes out as foreign aid is probably ending up in the pockets of corrupt people, and some of it's coming back to the pockets of politicians. This is a post from January 5th, 2019. Why do Dems always push and force Republicans to include spending bills for approval, billions of dollars in foreign aid? Who audits where the money actually goes? How do politicians become extremely wealthy while in office on government salaries? How do XYZ organizations remain funded? A couple of links there. Why do Ds always only care about control and power? Power of the purse. Power equals protection. The wheels of corruption. Welcome to the con. So Q then posted this. This is on the 6th. Bigger than you can imagine. More than selling of state secrets. More than selling of U.S. security. More than selling military tech. More than selling CIA assets. So what is Q talking about here? Well, we know that there have been a lot of arrests recently with people who have been selling military secrets, weapons technology secrets to China. We know that Hillary Clinton was found with special access program on her unsecured server. We know that, there was an article from the New York Times, I think this was in 2011, that 19 CIA assets were killed or imprisoned in China due to leaked information. And Q has hinted that Hillary actually sold that information to the Chinese, which allowed them to track down CIA assets and kill them. So Q writes,
This isn't the first time. We have these CIA assets, and then she gave the information out on these individuals, and the Chinese killed them. Now, if that's not a form of treason, I don't know what is. And we've talked about this more than once before. It's ridiculous.
it's more than selling NSA bulk data collection programs. Wait a minute, are you telling me that the leak by Snowden of NSA data collection programs was a sale of those programs? Yeah, probably. Selling uranium, selling U.S. space technology, national security programs and positions, selling U.S. aid, SAPs, classified, class 1 through 99. So there are even more things here that are classified that we don't know about yet. Then Q writes, crimes against humanity. Well, then there's that, right? So human trafficking and everything else that goes with it. When you cannot destroy or defeat the United States of America by attacking head-on, you change tactics and deploy a kill from within, internal in brackets operation. So you destroy the country's economy, its financial system. You destroy the military, defund it. You destroy the police and discredit the police and stir up a lot of public hostility, animosity toward the police. Gee, we haven't seen that lately, have we? You divide the citizens into races, age, gender, political beliefs, religious beliefs. And then you collapse the border. You install like-minded leaders in key positions of U.S. government. How many people were removed from the FBI had Iranian family backgrounds? The silent war continues, Q. So corrupt people tried to destroy the United States from without. When they failed, they had to destroy it from within. People like, well, as Q mentioned, placing like-minded people in positions of power. So Barack Obama, John Kerry, and John Brennan are all sympathetic to Islam. Valerie Jarrett, Peter Strzok,
And do you understand that all these individuals have Islamic sympathizers and have Iranian connections? Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Valerie Jarrett, Jimena al-Abedin, raised in Saudi Arabia. All these people. This is pathetic. treasonous.
And Lisa Page all have Iranian connections. Huma Abedin was raised in Saudi Arabia. And there are other people in government who have similar backgrounds and similar ideologies, but a lot of them are being removed. Q wrote this: control over the media has kept people in the dark. Control over the media has kept people at heel, behind. Control over the media has kept people focused on falsehoods. Control over the media has kept people in a constant state of fear. Control over the media has divided our republic into segments, divided by race, religion, class, political affiliation, gender. Weaponized, in brackets. When a citizenry is divided, they have no collective power. When a citizenry has no collective power, they can no longer control the levers that govern them, and they become slaves. Levers of control, in brackets. Illusion of democracy. So the politicians continue telling us that we live in a democracy. They have to maintain that illusion of democracy. But in fact, the puppet masters who control them also control society. It's just an illusion of democracy. All right, Benny Johnson was cued for a video where Tucker Carlson explained the new way forward, a congressional bill proposed in the House that would allow criminal illegal aliens a path to citizenship. This is a 9-minute video. I'm not going to include it in this broadcast. You can check it out. It's on YouTube, a number of other places. And that is kind of a frightening bill. So Q posted a link to that tweet. It's time to wake up. Tucker's description of that bill should be a wake-up call to voters who have supported these members of Congress. And if you want to know who they are, well, here's a list. So we've got some of the usual suspects: Presley.
Here is the list of individuals that supported that. They should all be ousted for treasonous works.
I think Ilhan Omar and Tlaib and Ocasio-Cortez, the usual suspects, all supported this bill. Those people need to be removed from Congress immediately, if not sooner, in the next election. And President Trump tweeted out, "Don't worry, it won't happen," which is true. It seems likely that that bill is not going to have enough support to pass in the House. Even if it does pass in the House, it won't go anywhere in the Senate. But it is a good illustration of the mindset and the thinking of people who literally want to destroy our country.
Treasonous.
So Q posted a link to a tweet by Joe M., Storm is Upon Us, who did a new video called The Best Is Yet to Come. It's awesome. It is about a 3-minute video. It takes the last 3 minutes, I think, of the president's State of the Union address, and it's put to music. It's actually very good. If you have a chance to check it out on YouTube, I would definitely have a listen to it. All right, on the 6th, Q posted this. It's a link to a Washington Examiner article. And Q said, read carefully. Big development. Senate back to work. Impeachment goal was to delay. Witness request meant to delay. Will they try again? Accountability is coming. So the link is to a story about Senator Ron Johnson and Chuck Grassley. Johnson is Homeland Security. Chuck Grassley is Senate Finance. They have requested and are receiving financial documents related to Hunter Biden. And, some people are saying, oh, this is a nothing burger. It's not going to go anywhere. No one's going to get prosecuted. Or, look, this is a long string, and they're starting to pull the string. And it's going to lead to other documents, other investigations, other disclosures. They're going to find out about all the corruption related to other politicians, all connected to Ukraine. The Pelosi's and John Kerry and everybody else who's got their fingers in that little cookie jar over there, they're all going to be exposed. This is just the beginning of it. All right, Q posted this couple of links to, one is a Yahoo News article, and the other is it's a DOJ announcement of arrests of a Harvard professor. And Q wrote, why is China and Qatar, or Qatar if you prefer, donating vast sums of money to our education institutions? Is it really so hard to believe, F in brackets, foreign actors are able to bribe those in key positions within the U.S. to betray their country. So Harvard leads all American universities. They've received $93 million from China. And coincidentally, last week, 3 people were indicted on charges of lying about their ties to China. Among them was Dr. Charles Lieber. He's a chair of Harvard's University, their chemistry and biology department. He actually had contracts with the Department of Defense and National Institutes of Health, and had also been receiving money from China to do research, and was giving information to the Chinese and had not disclosed that to the government. So we're learning more about this. I think Mike Pompeo today gave an address where he was talking about the serious threat that China poses to our national security. And I haven't listened to that video yet, but I will probably give a listen to it. And all these hidden connections to China are coming out. All right, so methods was cued for this video, short video. Glenn Beck breaks down the money laundering operation that the Obama administration allegedly ran in Ukraine. This is a 1-minute video. Like I said, Glenn Beck's entire show is almost an hour and a half. I listened to it a couple of times actually, because I had to go back through and find all the documents that he presented in this special. I would definitely suggest taking about an hour and a half and listening to Glenn Beck's special. It is an eye-opener. And what I did for the remainder of this thread was I found all the documents and articles, all the ones I could find, and I included them in this thread, and I'm going to go through them. Q posted this, let's see, that was on the 7th. This is an old drop from Q about people who've been fired at the FBI. So Lisa Page, Mike Cortan, Josh Campbell, Michael Stein.
We're going to speed this up. Learn how to mental steam. Trust and believe in yourself. The silent war continues. All right, we're going to end this here and catch you later. But the important point is that a lot of this Ukraine stuff that's coming out is going to blow the whistle and really be big news and bad news for a lot of corrupt officials in the United States.